Hi, Richard Wilson here. I'm here with the esteemed TK, Mr. Tom Keckler, guitar luthier, guitar builder, guitar repairman to the stars. And we are here with this lovely 1970 Gibson Byrdland, which is mine. I actually just acquired it recently. And TK did some work on it. He detailed it. And maybe you could explain what you did just to maintain this beautiful vintage instrument.
Certainly. First of all, Richard was very fortunate to have come across this guitar. It's in excellent shape for all intents and purposes. And there weren't very many of them made. And he was very fortunate. And one of the things I do to it, to detail it, has to do with the fretboards. Guitars have different kinds of fretboards on them. This is ebony, and you'll see them with rosewood. For a lot of them are rosewood, and even sometimes Paul Ferro, which is a kind of an exotic wood, but you'll see that too. But for the most part, rosewood and ebony. But the one thing they have in common is they don't have a finish, and so that subjects them to moisture or lack thereof. And so you have to be careful about conditioning the fretboard and keep it happy. And just like if you were a very wealthy person and had handmade furniture, it wouldn't have a finish on it. But somebody has to oil it on a regular basis to keep it healthy. And so that's one of the things I do to a guitar is condition the fretboard and keep it healthy. And
stop it cracking and drying out,
yeah.
And shrinking, I guess.
Yes, it will. It's very subjective to the atmosphere, just like we are. And too hot, too cold, too humid, too dry.
It's like the moisturizing cream I put on me to make me look 25.
That's exactly the same thing.
I figured.
Yeah, does it work well?
It does work pretty well, because I look 19 today.
Well, that's good. I think you're lying to me.
I think I am lying.
But this is a beautiful instrument, obviously, And one of the things that, like I said, I did was the condition of the fretboard. As far as the frets themselves are concerned, these were in very, very good condition considering the age of the guitar.
Yeah, 1970.
Unbelievable.
53 years old.
And so I just went back and slicked them, lack of a better term, and made sure they're all the level, and you want level frets. And then once you do that, you scar the frets by leveling them. And then you have to go back and you have to reshape the frets.
Right.
And after
with
that,
the radius, the correct
that's
radius.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. And after that, then you got to get the radius marks off the frets. So that's a laborious hand-done thing, with different grades of sandpaper and other things, that smooth it out.
Right.
But then you've got a perfect plain neck.
Right, and it does feel absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
This neck and the frets and all the notes ring clean. And you're explaining to me about the triple binding on here, and obviously the importance to keep the fretboard conditioned.
Yes, because if it doesn't, it'll contract or maybe shrink, and there goes the binding. It separates the binding from the fretboard because the wood has shrunk because it has not been conditioned properly. And particularly with this triple binding, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I've got to rebind that. Is
oh man,
huge.
I've been through that. Particularly with acoustic. High-end acoustic instruments. Martin does that to J45s and J45, D45. I'm sorry.
Got it.
And it's murder, messing around with triple binding. But this one was apparently taken very good care of from an environment standpoint, and that was not a question as far as the triple binding separating from the fretboard.
That's great. The other work is obviously on the rosewood bridge. as well to condition that and keep that happy as well.
Yeah, well, it's not actually the bridge; it's the stand for the bridge.
The stand for the bridge, gotcha.
Yeah. And the bridge is sitting on top of it, of course.
Yeah.
And this is not pegged down in one place like most guitars or whatever you say.
Yeah.
So it will. It will move, but you set it exactly where you want it according to the intonations of everything else. And you just, I usually put a little pencil mark on the sides of the stand or the bass. So if the person happens to get crazy one night and actually hit that bridge and move it, there goes your intonation.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, suffice to say, I do not play like Ted Nugent, but this is a very versatile instrument, and yes, the famous Ted Nugent actually plays this as well as a lot of great jazz guys as well.
That's probably about the only one time you'll see these guitars, and out there being used. Was Ted. He pretty much made them. I don't know how he did it really, but he did it.
Yeah. Well, it's a very unique instrument because it's got a 23.5-inch scale.
Yeah.
And it's got the 1 9/16 nut with. For me, I love it. It's a different trip for me. I can reach everything, all the jazz chords and everything I like to do on it really nicely. It's a wonderful instrument. And and I want to thank TK for his expertise.
You are welcome.
And explaining to the world about the importance of conditioning any wooden parts, in the fretboard, stop it shrinking, stop it contracting, cracking, because then you're in big trouble. And this obviously applies to acoustic guitars as well as electric.
And any kind of exotic wood, ebony, rosewood, whatever, it hasn't got a finish. To keep the moisture or lack thereof a problem. Yeah. But your fretboard is different.
Gotcha. Well, I want to thank you once again, Mr. TK. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And please like and subscribe. This is TK's Guitar Tips. I'm Richard Wilson. And until next time, stay safe and happy strumming.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye-bye.